Yo, people of the Rift, how we doing today? I got a bronze Veigar coaching review session. That's the first session I've done with the first person from YouTube, so definitely a lot of kinks to iron out on my end. This is definitely not a super well polished video, mainly because the coaching session itself was certainly not well polished. Huge shout out to Lurac, the client that we coached here today. Very receptive, open to criticism, willing to listen to me yap for an hour and a half. So I greatly appreciate that. Guys, I want to preface this all by saying I am by no means somebody who knows everything about League. I have only the highest I've ever been is Diamond 4. I'm by no means a perfect player, know everything. So, like I warned Lurac, take everything with a grain of salt, guys. Parse it through your own perspective. Don't just take what I say and use it as an axiom or as a mantra, but try to apply it through your own perspective and see how you can learn from it. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for clicking. Hopefully we all have a great rest of your day. Talk a bit about what's your League journey been like so far? What are your goals with League and kind of what do you want to get out of it?
Well, essentially, I just picked up League to game with my buddies, but they started like a good season before me, good season or two before me, so they were able to build up their skill requisite a lot faster, or not a lot faster, but like the rate at which they improve, even if we're equal, they're still going to be a season of experience ahead of me.
So kind
So
of
I was
just
just
like
trying
playing with
to,
friends where we just kind of want to improve, kind of catch up with them. So maybe even surpass them a little bit so we can, just have fun.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, for sure,
Uh,
man. How often would you say you're playing solo queue, like just games by yourself?
uh, when it comes to solo queue, I'm probably doing it like a third of the time
Okay.
is when I'll pop up a solo queue game on my own.
So what would that translate to in terms of like games per week of solo queue?
I probably play like 10 games of solo queue a week.
Okay. I mean I'd say it's a little bit under what I would love, but that's definitely not terrible. If we're looking for growth, like if we're looking to just develop as a League player, magic number would be like 3 solo queue games a day would be phenomenal. Like that's hitting the mark completely because that's just giving you a bunch of experience, a bunch of opportunity to make your own mistakes and learn from that. The biggest issue with duo queue in terms of improvement or learning is you're often so biased in your gameplay based off of what your duos want. You know what I mean? Even if it's not them
Yeah.
saying like, come help me or like do this thing or that thing, but like say your buddy's playing mid lane or top lane and they're just like bitching the whole time because they're getting stomped, right? You're gonna feel more inclined to go and help them, do something you might not otherwise. And
Yeah.
the issue with that is the best way to learn is to make our own mistakes, right? Or just to have our own ideas and try to like use that as a theory and play off. So just as long as you keep that in mind, as long as you understand that, I think that'll give you something. And again, just reiterate, like we're looking just to get 1 or 2 just solo queue games a day. That will help tremendously in you getting comfortable on your own and also you getting comfortable with you using your own ideas to learn. So
Okay.
what I do like I was looking at this earlier, over I think you started playing Veigar, it looks like on like this day or something.
Yeah, like I think it was last week on like Thursday I started picking him up or something, or Sunday or something.
Mm-hmm. But like since then we've gotten a good amount of Veigar games in. Like I like this trend. I think if it continues, you'll start getting comfortable. I think
I
Veigar's
think
go ahead.
oh sorry.
No,
I feel
please.
like my big issue with Veigar is I don't know how to play a lane behind or without a jungler. And like the game an hour ago, or what it says in an hour, my second to last game where I went 11-4 anyway, that only happened because I had a jungler who showed up once or twice, and that allowed me to turn the laning phase. Without the jungler, I'm getting trashed, like in that most recent game.
Okay, yeah. I say that's a good segue, honestly. Why don't we talk about how do you kind of view Veigar? Like what do you think his identity as a champion is?
It feels very much so like he wants to farm in lane and use his W to poke out the enemy and kind of just play safe and passive. But his passive also wants you to like hit enemies, so I feel like he's also meant to be trading a bit, but he can't. He doesn't have the health for it. Is
Yeah.
my understanding.
Yeah, I think you're touching on some like good concepts there where it's like ultimately Veigar is a scaling champion, right? Arguably one of the greatest scaling champions in the game, infinite AP scaling, great AP ratios. His cage, his E, is a phenomenal ability throughout the entirety of the game. So as Veigar, we're comfortable scaling. Our idea in lane is we want to slow it down, right? We want to keep things smooth. We want to be scaling and like setting a foundation so we can hit our item spikes and so we can move into the mid and late game very comfortably. That's our early lane kind of goal, is just to slow things down and to scale comfortably. But like you touched on, is like your passive rewards you for not only CSing but hitting the opponents. So what that kind of comes into is, I wouldn't say we want to be using W to be poking people down. We'd rather like to be using Q. Actually, honestly, why don't we just get into the game then?
Sure, fair warning, my CC is exactly what you would expect as someone who has been a one-trick support player moving to mid in the last week.
Yeah, no worries, man. All we can do is
Oh,
try to
my
improve
CS,
it.
sorry.
Oh, all good, dude.
My CS is terrible.
That stuff will come with time, right? That's just like, you got to get the reps in. Yeah, like if you've only ever played through support, you're going to be uncomfortable CSing. It's going to overwhelm you. There's nothing wrong with that.
You'll say that now until you see me miss like Qs and Ws on repeat.
Yeah, if I hang up instantly, don't, just, it is what it is.
I'll make sure to leave you alone after that.
I would, out of curiosity, what's your kind of philosophy on chat?
I will type something into the chat, realize it's toxic, and delete it before I send it. I'm trying
Hey,
to
at
be
least
very
you're
well
self-aware.
behaved.
That's more self-aware than a lot of people.
But I
would
will engage in it a couple times, and I am a slop for reading the alt chat. I have to read it.
I would heavily recommend you maybe then either once you get into game just do mute all and unmute pings, or even just go into the settings and turn off chat.
Okay.
So have you ever heard of the concept of the mental stack at all? Does that mean anything to you?
It's essentially like just the vibes.
No, so like more so it's like, think about it like you have like a certain amount of just brain power, right? Like you say like this is your brain power, and you can only allocate so many things at once that you can focus on. And so say for you, like you're moving from support to mid lane, right now like CSing is going to take up like 40% of your mental stack, right? Because you're uncomfortable with it. It's something you have to very intentionally focus on to get done. And that leaves only 60%, right? 'Cause you have a finite amount of mental like capability. That's only going to leave 60% for the rest of the game to do other stuff.
Okay.
What I'm getting to here is part of that is going to be like 10% here is, what the fuck am I doing? 10% here is going to be about chat. And especially like say somebody on the other team solo kills you and starts flaming you, suddenly that's 30%. Or say your jungler doesn't gank you when you think he should, suddenly that's 40%, because now you're just typing in chat being a goblin, which is like, it's like League's a super emotional game. You're going to be overwhelmed a lot and you're not going to understand everything that's going on. And then you're going to have ideas of what you think should happen. And when that doesn't occur, it's going to become emotional. And what ends up happening with chat, if you don't nip it in the bud, or if what's going to end up happening with chat is that it will become almost addicting to start venting in chat. Because
yeah, that's fair. That's valid.
it's just like you get so worked up and you get so emotional, and it's like, fuck, I need to put it somewhere. Let me just type at this Lilia and tell her how much of an inbred she is. And in some weird way, it's like that almost feels better. All you're doing is training that association to, when something bad happens, let me go to chat and let people know about it.
Okay, yeah, I get that. And it could also, it'll make my team not want to operate with me. I understand. It's distracting on my own mental and also on the team.
Great point, 100%. And not only distracting, but destructive. If you flame the wrong person at the wrong time, they might just quit. That's an insane game-losing play that you do by typing, right?
Yeah.
There's just something to think about, like some people like really can handle it. Some people can just like see shit in chat and just mute people selectively when they don't like what they see. I'm not one of those people, honestly. I have to have chat muted. Otherwise I engage in it too much and I just lose focus. So just something to think about there. I heavily recommend just try a couple games of turning chat off and see how it feels.
Okay, sure. I'll give that a shot. Our Ash wasn't loading in. They waited till they loaded in like at minion spawn. Or like one minion crash happened in mid.
So what's your kind of like thought process on like sitting in this bush here? What was kind of your idea?
I'm not gonna lie. Whenever I'm playing with my stack or my duo, we invade every single game. So my brain is always just like, hey, if the jungler runs in there, I want to get an ability off. I want to say I helped.
Yeah, no, fair. I don't hate this positioning like here or even in this bush. Up until the wave starts coming. It's
Yeah,
important
okay.
when the waves crash that we're there. What does wave management mean to you?
Uh, I understand that you're supposed to last hit to slow wave down if you're trying to keep it, like, if you're trying to keep it frozen, you should try and last hit or at least selectively take out the minions in an order, and that's about it.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. We got to start somewhere. When I think of wave management, I'm thinking about wave position. So right now, this wave is meeting directly in the middle of the wave. Say you don't auto it at all, and Kate's constantly throwing autos down on all the creeps, maybe even Qs. Eventually, what's going to happen? And eventually, the wave will push up to here. And then if she shoves that again, it'll eventually get under tower. Okay, so yep, so like it's meeting in the middle here, like on the initial crash. This is considered a neutral state. So if you ever hear me refer to neutral, like this is what that means. The wave's in the middle, direct middle of the lane, and it's not on anybody's side. Veigar as a champion likes to have the wave either neutral or on his side, having the person push into you. Though do understand there's a difference between having the wave pushed into you, like slightly on your side over here, versus under tower.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily want to be under tower that often because it's not very easy to last hit, and it's easier for the opponent to hit you under tower. So if we see her doing the wave here, getting a bunch of damage down, we know that this means eventually the wave will push into us. We want to hit creeps to kind of slow that push down. That's definitely the idea here because we would like to keep this neutral or slightly on our side. All I really want to see from you here is once we see Kate hitting the wave, we just want to continuously auto the creeps just to slow her push down. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, I want to, because if I just let her sit here, it'll push under my tower, and then she'll have free poke on me,
Exactly.
or easier poke.
Exactly. And you're more likely to miss CS. That's just her game plan. Kate, as a champion, likes to have her enemies under tower because then she can set up traps. She can just keep you overwhelmed. That's what she wants. Like we identified earlier on Veigar, we just want to be scaling nicely. On Veigar, your only real trading tool is your Q. We want to be looking for high value Qs. And what I mean by that is double creeps, like last hitting double creeps, or last hitting the creep and hitting Kate. That's the best case scenario. But something that's important on Veigar is we're not really looking to do heavy trading, but we're looking to take control of the lane in like your offense is your defense sort of way. And so if we can find Qs onto Kate, that'll really help us like keep her pressured. Not only are we going to be stacking our passive with that, but that'll slowly chip her down. So that'll give us space to farm in lane. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, kind of.
So it's
vaguely.
like, yeah, so think about it like if we just sit back and do nothing in lane and give her complete control of the lane, she'll ultimately be able to be comfortable CSing, pressuring you, doing whatever she wants. If we are consistently looking for Qs onto her, not only are we going to be fulfilling what we want by getting stacks, but we're also going to be pushing her back just enough that we can feel comfortable in lane 2.
Okay, so as Veigar, I've always just been focusing my Q into the wave for my passive. Are you saying that I still do that if I can do it, but focus more so on hitting the enemy champ?
Yep, I would say as a kind of rule of thumb, focus champ first, and if that's not available, then look to hit the wave.
Okay.
She's not going to give you a ton of options. And I'm not saying like go and like sprint over here and like look to queue her. But I'm just saying like maybe like if you stand right here, we can queue through, right?
Yeah, okay.
And see like that's a small difference in positioning. If she gives it to you, we'll take it. And if not, like if say like you stand here and she moves back, then we just wait for the wave. Like we don't have to overforce it. But by doing that, we're going to create space in lane for us to exist. And that's the space that we need to create a foundation to scale. Because if we just sit like back here and are only walking up to the wave to last hit with Q, we're going to be non-existent. And before you know it, she'll just poke you down and you're going to be behind on CS. We're not looking to just not interact. We're just looking to slow things down. But again, just to reiterate, as a rule of thumb, look for Qs in the champion first. And if they're not available, then we'll take the wave. And we're doing that just so we can create space for ourselves in lane. Your offense is the best sort of defense. This sort of matchup, what she is she's a ranged high threat matchup. She doesn't have to get close to you. She can easily trade onto you. But what we want to do in these sorts of matchups is make them choose between using abilities on the wave or using abilities on us.
Okay. I'm so used to hiding behind wave from support play. You're saying that I should try and position myself offset.
Exactly. Obviously, if they have skill shots that can be blocked by the creeps, it's good to be near them. But like high value Kate Q is one that hits all the creeps and you, right? So you want to make her choose, like if you're standing here, she either has to queue the wave or she has to queue you. And here's an example standing in the wave. So when she goes to queue, it's just like She's
Yeah,
gonna
it'll be
exactly.
terrible.
It's all right, though. That stuff will come with time. And like, this is a Q I really like here. She feels safe because she's behind a minion. But since your Q goes through minions, it's going to be like high percentage that you land this. It's easy to find Qs like this because people are going to be tricked into thinking they're safe here. So we could be using our potions here.
Yeah, I forgot I had potions for the first like minute.
No worries, my friend. Like I was saying earlier with the mental stack, it's like really truly respect that, in that you're learning a new role, you're learning a new champion. This new role is asking you to do stuff with the game that you haven't thought about before. Your mental stack's gonna be overwhelmed. Diagram again. It's like right now, let's say you're at 80%, just focused on trying to pilot in lane, right? Like 20% thinking about like what the fuck is going on with Caitlyn. Over time, like the more Veigar games you get in, this big 80% stack will cut down to like 40%. You're gonna feel more comfortable just moving around on Veigar. You're gonna feel more comfortable just CSing. That's gonna leave you a whole extra 60% to think about what's going on with Caitlyn. And eventually that will go down too. The more reps you get in doing this stuff, the easier the stuff's gonna get. It's completely fine to feel overwhelmed at times. It's completely fine to just get shit on in lane by a random Caitlyn person. Like, don't stress about that. Like, that stuff's gonna happen. It happens to everybody. Just continue with it and understand over time, you're gonna get better at all of this stuff. Throw out the Q, right? Just throw the Q out. And like, this is like, you see like how high quality of a Q this is because you will last hit this creep. And if you can hit her too, can't ask for anything better. As CSing becomes less of an intentional action, as like moving around becomes less intentional, this is the stuff that you'll be more free to see. But it starts with like, recognize it now. Like, we want to find these high quality cues as much as possible.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it's like you get there, right? It takes a second, but you get there.
Yeah, I recognize it just after the creep was already dead.
Mm-hmm. And even then, like, that's still fine. Like, just getting Qs onto her is gonna help you. Q her as much as possible while maintaining either a neutral lane state, so like we're in the middle, or a lane state that's slightly on our side. That's our goal in Veigar, is to be able to farm safely, CS well, keep the enemy slightly under pressure, but really just to slow things down. And then find clean resets so we can get to our item spikes. There you go, bro. You got there. Fuck yeah. I should just let you do your thing, goddamn. Like right now.
I think I respect. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I feel like I was respecting her too much there to back up all that way. I had all my abilities up, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, I think like it's okay to like not push up too much here. It's fine. You know, like if you had Q, I would say throw the Q out. But as soon as we see her waste her Q, I'm like, just you have so much mana, throw the E down. Fuck it. You know?
Okay, just throw the E down, force a trade.
Yes, but because you see her use her ability.
Okay.
You know, she committed here. You now have more tools than she does. So just, why not? You know, why not? Just throw it down. You have so much mana, and she has no real way to trade back into you. As soon as your Q's up, just throw it at her. Why not? This is free.
Okay.
You know? It's like she's hiding behind one creep. You're going to hit her. Like, this is going to be the main thing, I think, in early lane that's going to give you the most dividends, is get aggressive with your Q. Aim for every time your Q's up, see if you can hit the enemy champion. Veigar doesn't win lane by pressuring his opponent. Veigar wins lane by getting high CS and scaling well. First step in creating that space is punishing them every time you can with Q. But also a green light, like fucking hit your Q, is anytime you have mana flow up, we want to be hitting it. Mana flow should almost always be on cooldown, so we can, as quickly as possible, get to the 250 mana breakpoint.
Right, because mana flow eventually upgrades in a way.
Yep, once it gets to 250 mana, which I think it's 25 per stack, it'll start giving you 1% missing mana back just permanently.
Okay.
And something else to think about, the more you can hit it before you reset, the more mana you'll get, because you'll come back with extra mana that's full. So like, if you're ever like, I don't know when I really should be trading, like I know he said to like go for Qs a bunch, but like I'm just not feeling comfortable. The main two things to look at are like my first strike and my mana flow. If either of those are ready, let's just try to find something.
Okay, just try and proc anything I can.
Yeah, it's just a good place to start. But I think like this is just really what this looks like to me, is like you're trying to CS, you know? You're focused so much on like trying to get your CS down that we kind of have a blind spot for Caitlyn in the moment.
Yeah.
Something else about wave management that's quite important is anytime a wave crashes under tower, that guarantees eventually that it will push back.
Okay.
What's useful about that information, Caitlin now, she knows this wave has crashed. She can reset, leave, and come back, and she won't miss anything because the wave's going to have to push into her.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas opposed, like say the wave is right here, that doesn't guarantee anything, and you could hold that as a freeze. What you might hear, like this might be a bit higher level, but what really this is, in the entire time, like if we go back even, like Caitlin is stacking a wave on you. So it's multiple waves at once that are sitting here. And pushing into your waves. But ultimately, she's playing with a lot of pressure. What that really means is she's pushed up in lane. What eventually you can do with pressure is you cash it in by crashing the wave. So now she's crashed this wave. She's cashed in her pressure. And you can do multiple things with that. And this is what people call tempo. So say one option is she just stays in lane and continues to harass you. That's just maintaining her pressure. What she chose to do is she's going to cash in this pressure to reset and come back out. That's using her tempo to reset. Another option.
And then she'll end up an item up, or not an item up, but like damage and stats up on me.
Yeah, if you're stuck in lane here and she comes back and you can do nothing, then yeah, she's going to have an advantage. What resetting first actually would allow you to potentially get an item advantage because you could then have a later reset with more gold. Mm-hmm. So some champs look to like make you reset first so then they can reset later to have an item advantage, but it's not necessarily Veigar. Another option she could do with her tempo here is to just like cash in the pressure, use the tempo to go and like ward your jungle, or to like go and roam, right? These are just options, just something to think about.
Thankfully, I'm in such low elo, I don't have to worry about enemies warding like that yet.
Yeah, exactly. But conversely, if you're ever in that situation, think about that as an option.
Yeah, okay.
We're going to take a step back just in general. What is kind of your idea with Veigar's build?
I believe my build pattern is always just rush Ludens first. If I have extra money on my way to Lost Chapter, I'll buy the I can't remember the name of the item.
Hextech Alternator?
No,
Dark Seal boots?
It's part of Seraph's Embrace, the Moonstone. Tier, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll buy that on the side just to start building up that extra mana stack. But typically, it always starts out Ludens. And after Ludens and Seraph's Embrace, if I feel like I'm in a losing game, I'll go to Zanya's. But otherwise, I just build him full AP.
Okay. I'm going to change that up for you a bit if you are willing to follow it.
Okay.
I would heavily recommend we go Rod of Ages, Seraphs, Rabadons, almost every single game. Our first back, we want 1,300 gold. We'll buy Catalyst of Aeons. The reason we don't necessarily need to prioritize getting AP amp tomes on our backs is because the passive should really be doing that work for us. What Veigar really wants is the ability to continuously stack, continuously be safe, continuously scale. Health and mana will allow us that. If we don't have 1,300 gold, our prioritization will be getting the tier as soon as possible. And then from there, it's getting HP, that's amazing flat mana. Really, the main thing to think about, to focus on, is 1,300 gold into Catalyst, or just get the tier. And if we can't get full Catalyst, get tier plus HP, or tier plus mana. Because the passive should be giving us our damage early. What's more important,
I should be focusing on my building my stacks instead of building AP first.
Exactly, because if we're queuing Caitlyn consistently, if we're last hitting better, we're gonna have like almost an amp tome's worth of AP from our passive on our first back anyways.
Okay.
We want Rod and Seraphs as items because they give us a lot of room to be safe in our place, and then they both scale very, very well. Obviously, Veigar loves Rabadons. It's one of his best spikes. It is his best spike when you hit that, just because the amplification of all of your AP gives you insane numbers. Reiterate, we'll go Roa, Seraphs, and to Rabba. The Roa first, we'll give it time to start scaling up, and then by the time we get to Seraphs, our tier will almost be at to the 360 breakpoint.
Okay.
And then
it's about timing my scaling.
Exactly. As Veigar, be comfortable and confident in how well you scale. Don't feel panicked or pressured in the early games to get things done. In fact, if you feel like any plays on side lanes or like things your jungler wants to do doesn't like it feels sketchy or doesn't feel guaranteed, just say no to any shenanigans, really. Because you just want to farm and scale safely. That's all you really need. Because you will scale. You will scale.
We're going to see like 4 minutes of me just being too afraid to do anything.
It's completely fine. So I think we should probably just base TP here, honestly. Like, I would just base TP, take tier, and come back.
Okay.
Because, like, if this wasn't a cannon wave, like, maybe we can shove it in time. But even then, it's like Veigar's early wave control is very bad. You don't have the cooldown or the damage or the tools to just clear a wave quick. And if Caitlyn comes back and starts pressuring you again, you won't really have other opportunities to get out of lane safely and to find clean resets. The most just to make it clear, the two most important things on Veigar to focus on are your wave management, where the wave is, because where the wave is will allow you to do everything else cleanly. If the wave's in a good position, either neutral or slightly on your side, you'll be able to farm safely. You won't be under threat from ganks. You'll be able to just, it facilitates your game plan. That's what you want. So control the wave first, the position of the wave, and that will set you up. But then two, it's about finding resets, just getting clean resets. And by resets, I mean just base, spend your money, get back to lane. And ideally, the best resets, the highest quality resets, are ones where we miss the least coming back to lane, you know? So that either means using our TP to just come back right away and miss nothing, or that means like Caitlyn's situation where we crash a wave that gives us enough time to come back to lane cleanly. But the reason that resets is also important is because Veigar is a champion who spikes really hard with his item. The more like, if you're finding good resets, like say we're basing on 1300 gold, that's just like setting you up on a foundation to come back and do the rest of what you want to do so cleanly. Does that make sense? Do you see that kind of connection?
Yeah, it's about like if I reset the right time, I'm able to keep my wave in the right spot for myself, and it'll allow me to snowball down the line.
Yeah, exactly. It's about like getting a good reset connects you into like doing better in the future, you know? It's like, do you play golf?
A little bit.
So think about it like if you have a good hit off like the tee and it puts you in a good position to get to the hole, it's easier to play that next shot. But say your first shot off the tee is really bad, you have to do more work to get to the hole. Whereas if you just played cleaner off the first one, the work is easier.
Yeah.
It's just about like your early lane on Veigar is just about setting you up to scale well. And a key component of continuing that throughout the game is finding clean reset.
Yeah, I also need to just learn how much damage an auto does.
Yeah. CSing is something one of the few things in League you can actually drill if you want to. And how you would do that is just go into practice tool. You put an Ezreal bot on the other team, make sure they're set to 80 carry, and you just go bot lane and you don't do anything but last hit. Because he'll push the wave into you, and they'll just get you comfortable just last hitting while doing other stuff. I think that might be a good thing for you to do, just to, like I was saying, like bring down that mental stack portion that is just last hitting. So something else is like, when we think about, say we wanted to, this isn't a great like time to look at it as an example, but say we wanted to push this wave as quickly as possible, how would you go about doing that?
I would probably, actually, you know what I would do is I would W onto the summoner minions, queue them to get my stacks, and then focus hitting down the melees.
Yeah, ultimately that's going to be your pattern throughout the game. There's certain breakpoints where you'll hit where one W and then a Q can one-shot the wave, one-shot the backline, the casters. And eventually the same will happen with your melees as well. But here we see now, like, we kind of floundered in lane for so long. We didn't really try to push to reset. We didn't base TP. We're going to come, like, Kate now does have an item advantage. She has 2 health potions, which is strange. But ultimately, it's just like, now we're in a bad position. Because Kate can just be like, fuck you, I'm taking control back, and you're going to be stuck here. And that becomes really awkward, because, like, how do we find a clean reset now? And ultimately, it's like, this is why, like, this W is so bad. It's because, like, you're trying to, like, maybe threaten Kate off and, like, but, like, what you should be focusing on is, like, I need to push this in. I need to get out of here. And if I can't do that, like, let me just last hit the shit, reset TP. It's fine to, like, understand TP is, like, is just a bailout option. Like, that's fine. Nunu comes in. Okay, I mean, you don't get hit by it, but...
Yeah.
What do you think you should do here?
My instincts right now, if I knew that, if I had vision of him coming in, so I actually had the reaction time for it, or I would have E'd to try and get him on the cage stun and then walk away instead of burning the flash.
Exactly. And even like from this moment, you have so much time.
Yeah.
I think like you walk the way you do, you just like, let's just walk like this, and then As soon as we see this snowball, we're just gonna throw a cage right here, and then walk like that.
Yeah.
You know, and then you're completely safe. There's nothing he can do.
Yeah.
Do you understand that even if he's CC'd, the snowball will do its like rolling thing afterward?
Yeah, it'll roll in a straight line.
Exactly. But you understand how you're always safe here, even just reacting to seeing the snowball.
Yeah. I probably could have even got away with it if I just ran in a curve at all instead of straight away.
Yeah, like honestly, you can just eat the snowball like right here and be fine too. You know, it's like you have options here, but ultimately, fuck it, I respect it. The flash is clean too. You don't get hit by it at all. We take that shit, bro. It's not for sure. I would just base TP, you know, because like,
yeah.
just go ahead.
Nothing. I was just thinking, like, I probably also should have just warned the jungler that their top side was invaded, but I guess.
Yeah.
Or that he was in their top.
The jungler should know that, to be honest. It's not really your job. I would say maybe throw some pings towards bot lane, because he's probably just going to snowball again. I would say do that for sure. Just like if you do, like, caution ping, like danger ping, caution ping. I would say that's your job here. Your jungler should know, if he sees Nunu what coming from there, that his top side is probably sketchy. That's not your job as much as, like, warn your bot lane. That would be your job, I would say.
But I got that caster minion, though.
You sure fucking did. 17, not 16. How do you feel about this?
I can't lie and pretend like, oh, I would have done something. I would have done the exact. I would have ran away.
No. Right now, looking at this, how do you feel? How do you feel?
I probably should have been looking for a reset instead of hanging around.
Yeah, I mean, just literally this specific micro moment here.
Oh, not great. Yeah, I'm not providing any value to my lane.
Yeah, and even more than that, man, it's just like, I don't know, like, do you have like a humiliation kink or something? Like, do you enjoy just being disrespected blatantly like this? Doing nothing about
Dude, it's rough.
Just like if she's walking at you like this with one fucking thing in mind, and that's clicking on you to auto attack, like she walks in a literal straight line.
Yeah, I could have done a Q, a W, anything.
Right here, she right clicks on you.
Yeah.
And then
I could have been doing anything here to
literally
fight
anything. Back. Anything. And literally, just like I was saying earlier, it's just like, even at minimum, just throw a fucking Q out. Right?
Yeah.
That's just like, that's your main, like...
I can farm stacks off of it at least.
Yeah, exactly. But even more than that, it's just like, do you know anything about boxing?
Very little.
Okay, so in boxing, like, people use like the jab as a reach tool, almost like a like kind of.
Oh yeah, to like learn distancing.
To learn distance, just to get a feel for the opponent. To just kind of, it's like a litmus test almost. Like, let me put this out here, see how you react, see how you feel. How does it make, like, what do you do? Like, think about your Q almost in like that sort of way, or just like I'm gonna jab you to keep you at distance here. You know, just make you like realize like you can't just do whatever the fuck you want. Like, you have to like think. Like, she has to like your Q is gonna not allow, if you're consistently queuing her, she's not gonna feel comfortable doing this. She feels comfortable walking up and hitting you like this. One, because you have very little resources, but two, because we've been asleep in lane and kind of let her do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
Or if we're consistently like punching her, just even if it's not doing a bunch of damage, it's just gonna make her think twice. But ultimately, it's like, yeah, like, there's no world where you just don't do anything here. Well, I mean, obviously there is a world.
Yeah, it's this world right here.
There shouldn't be a world where you don't do anything here, because it's just like, why not, right? Why not?
Yep.
So, was there any like rhyme or reason to you like sticking around so long? Were you like trying to get to a certain gold break point, or was it just like...
I didn't want to back before 6.
Why not?
I wanted my ult.
Fair enough.
There's no like valid like, oh, I need it for this. No, I just wanted my ult.
Fair enough, brother. I gotta respect that.
I'm so used to being a support where I don't have any gold anyway, so I'm like, the concept of backing on gold is so new to me that I'm used to, like, as a support, I back at 6, I back at like after kills. After 6 is just whenever the enemy unit's dead and my jungle or my ADC pings me, I back.
Hey, I respect the honesty, man. You got to start somewhere, right?
Yep.
So, like, honestly, like, I think I'm curious what Caitlyn's doing here. Oh, she's getting vision, probably. And then gonna come back, right? Weird.
She might have been warding the sides. I don't know.
Yeah, I think she's doing that. She should just
I'm
be
also just
pressuring the hell out of you. Is really my point
yeah.
here. It's like,
You can see me angrily move my camera up, begging for my Lilia to come do anything for me.
but we understand like how this is not her problem at all.
Yeah, no, it's not her problem. It's just I'm gonna blame the jungler if they're there, man.
I mean, why else are they there? But it's like
She's
if
been doing nothing
we're
but
hitting
farming,
Qs,
man.
if we're, I mean, that is Lily's identity. Lilia is
Yeah.
a full clear jungler. She wants to hit spikes. She needs her tempo. She
Yeah.
wants to get to her items. She's not a champion. Like if you have cage up and you can cage the Caitlyn, yeah, there's a gank opportunity, but you have no fucking mana. You can't do that.
Well, maybe Lilia should have realized I was gonna be a dog shit mid, and they should have played a boo boo.
Honestly. But really, like, our issue here is that we've never found a reset. We don't have an
Yeah.
agency in lane because we don't have the ability to do anything. And this exact same thing happened in your the other game versus that Cassio. If you're ever a mage in lane with no mana, you're fucking useless. You're literally useless. Like a caster minion, 3 caster minions are more useful than you are. Like you're gonna auto attack her? Like what are you gonna do? And think about what Veigar wants to be doing. We want to be getting Q stacks. We want to be like queuing them to get stacks. Like if you don't have mana, you can't do that. And like you just said, like what if Lilia did come here, and you had enough mana to do what? Throw a Q?
I could have done a cage.
Yeah, but that's it, right? Imagine if we had like even just 300 mana, we could do a full combo.
Yeah.
It's like you're not even giving yourself the ability to have options by being stuck in lane with no mana. A good rule of thumb, even as bad as it feels, if you have no mana, just leave. Just base. Doesn't matter.
Just accept the shard loss.
Exactly. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what's going on with the waves. Like it's just it'll teach you to just understand that sort of thing. Obviously, there's exceptions to that, but ultimately, it's like if you have no mana as a mage, you can't do anything. You have no value. Just go get mana. Especially if we have TP, just TP back.
Yeah. Now there's me realizing that I shouldn't buy that. I should buy tier instead.
Hey, at least you got there, brother. And so something to think about too. Just like as a we should have an idea of like what we want to be buying, right? So when we come back to lane, like also when we base, we buy instantly, we can get back on that map. And now for you, like it's like if we have 1,300 gold, we're gonna go into Rod of Ages and we're gonna buy the Catalyst of Aeons. If we don't have that, we're gonna prioritize getting tier, and then either the HP in here or the mana in here as well.
Okay.
So just like think, it's like, okay, if I'm backing on 700 gold, I'm going to buy tier Sapphire Crystal. If I'm backing on 800 gold, I'm going to buy tier the Ruby Crystal and Rod of Ages. Like as you play more Veigar, as you do more of the same build, you'll start to understand like the gold breakpoints better and know better like, okay, I can wait one more wave, I need 100 gold and I'll have Catalyst. I can wait one, like you get what I'm saying. But it's very good practice to be like, even now, okay, we're going back into lane, right? Let's see, what do we... So I'm trying to get to this. So, okay. When you look at this now, focus on here. What's the next time you come back? How much gold would you... Like, what are your options in terms of gold for your next reset?
My next reset, I guess, resetting at 550 is not exactly a great time left in lane, and either is 700. So really, I guess my next option would be, let me do some quick math real quick. Google, help me out. 700 plus 500. I definitely did good in school. 1200.
So something that's also awkward about that is you have to keep into account that you have one component that's into both of these.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
But,
okay.
But I'm going to stop you there before your brain hurts. 550 is completely fine. That's completely fine.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that. If you have to back and you're at 550, we'll take it. Obviously, when I'm saying that, like, I don't mean like we got to 550, let me base right now. But like, say you go back into lane and you and Kate are like, for some reason you guys are just punching each other in the face, and you're at 600 gold and you're at 20% HP. or you're at 600 gold and you're at 5% mana.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Just
Golden.
get out of there and get
That's,
the lost chapter.
as far as I'm concerned, that's a success. That's fine, you know.
Okay.
As long as you're not like basing back for a single component or something, that's worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Ideally, yeah, I agree. We're gonna base around maybe like Lost Chapter and an Amp Tome, maybe Lost Chapter, and you can get the full Hex Tech Alternator, which I think that would be, you would need 1650 because Hex Tech is 1100. This would be 50,
Yeah.
so 1650. But again, like, this is just an example of like how I want you to think when we're leaving base is like, what's my next reset? What am I looking to get to? That'll give you some kind of structure in what you're actually doing in lane. So you're not just like, herder, oh shit, like fuck, I'm level 6, let me back. It's like, okay, like I'm at this breakpoint, like I have this on base. Like I know I can now play around that. I know I now have a good base to go and get.
Okay.
And that'll also help you, like, it seems like a small mental shift, but that'll help you down the line because like you'll be in a situation where you might feel pressured, but you realize, oh wait, like I have enough for a base. Like that's fine. Let me take that out. Or you might be in a situation where it's like, I could go for this play, but I'm sitting on like 2 full components. Let me just take the base. Understanding this now, setting that like when you have a moment where you don't actually have to do anything but walk, using that lull state to actually kind of prep your mental stack will pay dividends down the line in terms of like showing you where to go. Oh, something else. What do you know? But like, how have you been leveling your abilities in terms of like, what's your max order like?
I oh god, I think I go Q, W, then E, and
Okay.
R whenever it's available.
Yep. So what I would like you to be doing from now on is obviously we're gonna do Q, but let's get 3 points into W, then the rest into E.
Okay.
So one thing to understand about Veigar is every single all of his abilities get a lot of value out of being leveled up. All of them reduce cooldown, all of them increase base damage. He scales very well with XP because he gets a lot of value out of every level up. Your stun, I think at rank 1, I believe it is a 20-second cooldown. At rank 5, it's a 14-second cooldown. And that's with no ability haste. That's 6-second difference. That's large.
Okay.
It's also increasing the stun duration, I believe, from 1.5 to 2.5. And that makes a big difference for multiple reasons. One, if they get Merc Treads, the increased stun duration still allows you to get your full combo off. But 2, as we go later into the game, the like utility of your cage becomes way more impactful than the damage of your W.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's every 50 primal sacks you get, or every 100. I can't remember.
Every 50, my W will.
Exactly. You know, so it's like you're already getting, like, you don't have to over level W.
I shouldn't have. Yeah, because I'll get the reduced cooldown on it anyway through my.
Exactly. The reason we do want to get to 3 level points in W is because that helps us with our wave clear breakpoints, and that helps us with just like at 3 points you should have enough damage and combos to be killing people like easily, or with like more ease than if we were just going straight into E second. But ultimately, just Q first, 3 into W, then max E. That'll, I think, as you play with it, you'll be like, oh wow, this feels quite nice. If I can tell her, bro, like, cure her face. Yeah, don't let her fucking get away with shit. Yeah, I like this, man. Like, yeah, we take a bunch of damage. Obviously not great, stepping on a trap.
Yeah.
Obviously not great, eating a bunch of auto attacks. But I like the mindset here, right? Like, I like we're actually trying to be like, hey, like, listen, bitch, like, I'm here.
I got confident. Her mana low.
Exactly. But even more, like, a bigger thing that's telling me it's okay to do this is the amount of mana we have. Right? It's like, we don't want to be doing this on the early levels because it's just, we're going to be wasting all of our mana. But as we start hitting as we get into later lane, which is like level 7 through 9, you can start shifting how you play Veigar instead of like a very like, it's not necessarily that you have to shift, but it's like you have a little bit more ability to make yourself known. Feel free to throw out your E if you feel like they're overextended. Feel free to like EWQ them, you know?
Yeah.
And also at this point, I want you to start, once we hit level 7, start WQing the caster creeps.
Okay, just go all in on using that. Okay.
Yep. It'll like, obviously we don't want to do it if we're going to take a bunch of damage to do it, but that'll help us get control of the wave. That'll help us like get options and that sort of stuff. That'll just, it's a good habit to start getting into. And it's also how we want to start approaching wave clear in the rest of the game is using your W to set up your Q last hits. But we want to start that at 7, and it gets pretty consistent at at 8.
Yeah, okay.
And do you know your ult damage increases based on their missing health?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it does maximum when they're down by 60%.
Yeah, I think around 30% or something. As long as you know it's an execute, you want to be using it at the end of damage.
Yeah.
That's why our combo later on is EWR or EWQR.
Dude, I'll whip everything. I'm not afraid.
What do you think about this W, just in general?
I was trying to force her to back off. I wasn't actually expecting her to walk back up.
Okay.
I was trying to force her to back off so I could move up towards those melee minions that are down left.
Do you think there's any... I guess rather what I'm trying to say is like, you're throwing a lot of raw W's out, which I think you should almost never do.
Yeah, it's not that much value because at the most it can do really is just cause them to right click somewhere else on the screen.
Exactly. You know, and there's... Yeah, that's something you could use, but it's not really what we want to be doing.
Yeah.
What I see here actually is you should just go for an E. And if you stun her and land WQ, you kill her with your ult.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I wasn't thinking. I guess in my mindset now is that I've already lost. I'm not going to bother trying to win in a fight. So I think this was a case of my mental flagged before anything else.
Yeah, fair enough. But just like, you see this, right? You see how you kind of have a kill opportunity here?
Yeah. I could E here, and then, yeah, I see that.
Especially... I thought you landed that. Am I fucking stupid?
No, I missed all of it.
Especially here, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, you're getting low too. It's getting sketchy, but like...
She doesn't have the mana to pull off her ult, whereas I would.
Exactly. And even more than that, it's just like, you'll get more comfortable about not getting hit as much. You'll get more comfortable with that shit. Just like, what's going to help you more now is recognize, like, if she's stunned and you land your W and then your Q, she's like right here.
Yeah.
Like, if she was at this health, would you ult her?
Yeah. That's
right?
a free kill.
Exactly. So it's just about understanding, as you get more comfortable recognizing how much damage you do, you'll be able to kind of foresee, like, oh, WQ will put her in ult range. And if you ever feel that, if you ever even feel it slightly, just go all in on that shit. Like, I think
the cooldown's not that long on the ult.
Yeah, and even more than that, I think what's hard about League is, like, it's such an emotional game. You're stuck in the game for like 30 to 40 minutes sometimes. It feels fucking awful to ruin games. But ruining the game is sometimes the best way to learn. Right? Like, if you just fucking eat her WQR and just fucking see what happened, even if you don't kill her and you died and that ruined your fucking game, at least you'll have, like, a reference point. You'll have some learning there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll know the limits.
Exactly. That'll push you closer and closer. So the next game, you'll be like, no, not yet. I need to hit one more Q. And then I can go. Like, that's how you're, like, putting the parameters on this, like, kind of equation, is by understanding the individual variables of, like, how much damage each ability is doing, how that comes together to actually, like, make something here.
Okay.
Like you said, like that stuff will come with time. Like that you'll get that feel the more you play Veigar. But like that's why it's so important is like you see like peppering her with these cues puts her in range here. And like that's why it's
Yeah.
important. It's like ever since we came back on the second back, we've been way more aggressive in looking for cues. We've been way more confident in like trying to actually interact with her. Obviously, it's like it hasn't worked perfectly, but like if you were slightly more comfortable with Veigar, you see how that has put her in a range where she could be killed.
Yeah. If I was more comfortable, I could turn this around very quick.
And you see that now, right?
Yeah.
And that's the first step to developing this comfort is like now you recognize, because like that's what's also very hard about learning League is like we were saying earlier, it's like your mental stack is so overwhelmed in game right now with just trying to like do a bunch of shit. Like last hit, land cues, don't get hit by cues. God forbid thinking about like where the hell is their jungler? Is there support in lane? You know, it's like that's where we're trying to get to. But first is like we'll get this mental stack stuff down. But it's hard to learn certain things in the moment because you're so focused on all this other small stuff.
Yeah.
But now in review, we can see like, oh, I kind of had this opportunity to kill her. Like, what if I put you in game right now with that understanding? Like, do you think you would play the next couple seconds differently?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so just like now we can take that into our next game and like see how that stuff feels. That's why it's like a lot of learning in League is important. Most of the learning in League can be done much quicker, like in review, out of game, because your mental stack's just freed up to see like, here's another like low value W. You know, in the future, like
Yeah.
what if I just move the W over just a little bit and hit this whole wave or this first?
Yeah, it's kind of like the effect of you when you watch someone playing a game, how you're confused how they're missing basic.
Exactly. Whoa, that guy's a gamer.
Oh no, my flash came. I could have survived. My flash cooldown was up at the last second.
What do you think about this, though?
Uh,
Anything
I
else
kind
you
of
would do
knew I
different
should have
here?
casted it. I should have casted it more to the left because here, I could have cast that way farther to the left and actually saved myself.
Exactly. As soon as we see him,
Just put the cage up.
yeah,
Yeah, because you can see I knew he was there. I just decided to run first.
yeah. And you're like, oh, I need a defensive E, which you do recognize, like, but you just put it on
Yeah.
yourself, right? This is a different
Yeah.
champion, maybe, but like really, with Nunu, it's just about like stopping him over here. He can't do anything, and if he doesn't
Yeah.
land the snowball, he's completely useless. And if you stop him from being able to move on to you, and he misses his snowball, he's just gonna walk away.
Yeah, and if I survive here, there's a chance for my Lilia to. I don't know if my Lilia has items yet, but there's a chance they could come and contest.
True, yeah, 100%. Or if you cage him and you just like WQR and it'll put him at like 30% HP, then he can't do anything on the map anyways. And if Lilia comes, she might be able to get a kill.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, you see it. That's like we need to put the E over here.
Yeah.
And you had like the intention, like my E will help me here. Like you just need it's just like execution thing.
Yep. Just positioning, learning the.
Exactly. And I think it's actually kind of crazy here. I think if you had the presence of mind to instantly WQ and then R,
Yeah, I could have gotten away with it because the tower.
yeah, you might be able to actually like sneak a kill in here. But ultimately, it's like if we just E correctly, you never die. You
Yeah.
see that. So
I said she's back. I want my lane. I'm gonna get to hit tower for the first time in.
It's on Veigar. It's like we're not really like looking to hit tower, right? Like I said,
Yeah.
we all we're trying to do is scale comfortably. I'm like, what here is telling us that we are not scaling comfortably?
Gee, I wonder if it's the CS difference.
Are you Sherlock Holmes?
I've been known
you
to
know?
see a few things.
We're at 9 minutes with under 40 CS, right? Like that's not really acceptable. As for the champion, we're trying to be. Holy shit, bro! It could be worse. There's always fucking layers, brother. Holy shit.
Dude, my Ash is also getting bogged
Oh my
down.
god. Yeah, wait, you're fucking gaming compared to these people. Holy shit. But yeah, exactly, right? It's like this is not in line with what Veigar's champion identity is.
Yeah.
And we kind of see back like
And
if
a
we
lot of it comes from me just playing poorly at the early opening where I'm positioning myself in the wrong spot and allowing Caitlyn to push me back.
exactly, my friend, 100%. That's League is one of the most snowbally games of all time. There's very few games like it. You said you had some Valorant experience, right?
Yes.
Valorant, it's like you can get to points where you are very different economies. But
Yeah.
ultimately, it's like it can only go so far, and it will eventually, it can reset completely, you know? There's no coming
Yeah.
back from 40 CS at 10 minutes. You know, there is no coming back from that. There is no like take an eco round and then maybe like we'll be back in position. There, you can't do that. Especially like if you have 30 CS and we die, it's like there is no coming back. It's like you are just
Yeah.
you are in a different world compared to if we were at 60 CS with 0 deaths. You are in a completely different world, completely different games, completely different champions. And that is something that is a hard pill to swallow, and it feels awful sometimes. Because you're like, fuck, what do I do for the next 20 minutes until my team surrenders? And it's just like you suffer. It's like you can, and it's just like, not that I want you to like check out if we don't have a great early game. It's like, obviously, that's not what I'm saying. But it's just like, do understand that like you are in a completely different world than if we had 20 more CS and we didn't die.
Yeah.
Because like I was saying
100%.
earlier, it's like if you had that 20 extra CS and you came back, that's a different item breakpoint. That item breakpoint might actually be the difference between getting a kill or not. Or it's the difference between CSing better the next 10 minutes or not. And that stuff will continue to snowball. You know, like the smallest details will snowball into massive things in this game. And it can be very, very painful. But it's just like understanding that how much learning has been in this 9 minutes here of this gameplay, right?
Yeah.
It's like that's the stuff that'll make the difference. It's like it's not necessarily about, yeah, we want to win this game, we're going to try our best, we're going to play with intensity on this game, but it's about winning the next game. And you do that by learning from this one. And like now we go back and like if we
we just going back. I leave the bush sooner so I don't lose my early priority in the first wave.
Exactly, so the early prio is not as bad. Or because like we know Caitlyn's going to come up and auto this shit, what if we went and queued her right away? We were in position to do that. Or if we played this early lane with the understanding like I need to keep jabbing at Caitlyn with these Qs to kind of keep her at bay so I'm more comfortable to CS. And like landing 3 or 4 Qs in these first 3 minutes might be the difference between 37 CS and 47 CS. And like that will continuously add up over your games. And it's like you have some like you're like getting to the correct conclusions. You have like decent instincts. So it's like, yeah, the execution isn't there. The micro's not there. Like obviously there's a lack of some understanding in some spots, but it's like just keep at it, my friend. And like you will 100% improve. You'll get more comfortable with CSing. You're gonna land more Qs. You'll understand your breakpoints better. That stuff will all come, you know. But do understand that like your focus needs to be on the early lane as much as possible, because that'll make the biggest difference overall. You know, it's like we can take a look at some of the later stuff here, but ultimately it's like it's not really worthwhile. Because if our early lane is different, we're playing the later stages of the game from a completely different like standpoint. And that's something that's critical to understand about League of Legends, is that your early foundation on any champion is massively important. Because if we have a strong early foundation, that allows us to move into the mid and late game so much more comfortably, with so much more power, that it's an astounding difference. It truly is.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions, my friend?
Not especially, no. I took notes, so I have stuff to read,
Jeez,
double
man.
over, get back to it.
Yeah, dude. Well, hey, also one thing, like I am by no means a perfect player. I by no means know exactly what's going on. Take everything with a grain of salt. I mean, you sound like an intelligent guy. Just parse it through your own perspective, you know, just like if something doesn't make a ton of sense, just kind of look at it and see why. But for the most part, I'd say the main thing I would want you to focus on is try to use Q more offensively, because that offense will be your defense, especially in early lane. We want to ideally hit the champion. If that's not an available option, then we'll hit the wave. I
Okay.
think that Q usage, like that framework of Q usage, I think is going to be the best place for you to start.
Act
But
a little bit more like a bully with it, kind of.
yes, but do remember our identity is we're doing that just because we want to control the pace of the lane, and we want that pace to be slower. If we're in control of it, it's better for us.
Okay.
It's not necessarily we want to be a bully as much as it like we want to be using that to keep them at the distance and keep us comfortable in the lane and to keep them uncomfortable. But
Okay.
and then also just like respects the idea of that mental stack, right? It's like you said, you're new to mid lane, you're used to support. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Like there's a ton of stuff happening. So like don't try to not be like too frustrated, or like if we're not getting results right away, if you're like gonna go into your next game thinking like, all right, I'm gonna queue the fuck out of her on the early waves, and then like you just get overwhelmed with CSing again and you forget to do it. It's just like
No, man.
understand.
Next game, I'm gold.
I believe in
Next
you,
game,
bro. Yep, 100%. Like you're gonna get
I
signed.
shoot up
Yeah.
fucking 500 LP.
It's gonna be that easy, man. It's gonna be that simple. But yeah, bro, like just take it in stride, do your thing, man. Like you'll get there for sure.
All right.
If you have any questions at all, or if you want to get another review done, please feel free to message me anytime about anything. I have no
All right.
hesitation
Will
there.
do.
More than happy to try to help you, brother. Well, man, I really
Appreciate
appreciate
it.
you just listening to me yap for so long and throwing a bunch of shit at you. I really do. That's a skill in of itself, so I really appreciate that.
No, it's all good. Thank you for teaching me, man. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. I'm happy to help. I really enjoy it. And
It's
that.
more constructive than the gang. The gang will just tell me you're dog shit. Move on.
Yeah, they got to keep you in check.
Yep.
All right, brother. Have a good rest of your night.
Yeah, you too, man. Have a nice one.
Thank you.